Hello guys, welcome back to another video. It's your devious lad Hydro here. I'm here today with another video game analysis video. We'll be looking at the indie psychological horror game Doki Doki Literature Club and how it can relate to the dangers of control in romantic relationships. This video will primarily be focused on romantic relationships, but its concept can be applied to ones with friends and family too. There will be spoilers to the game's story. You have been warned. But with that being said, let's hop right into the video. To establish how DDLC relates to a story of toxic, clingy partners and romantic relationships, we will use a hypothetical scenario. Imagine you meet a cute girl, both of you attend the same university, and see each other in the same classes. You start talking as you grow to become friends, and eventually you plan a date to a coffee shop on a Saturday morning to study for an exam. You find this girl to be extremely diligent in her studies, and just as much as she wants her grades to stay strong, she wants yours to be up to par too. You find this girl to be extremely caring and gentle. She always wants to spend her time with you. Things are great. You start dating, and are a couple of weeks into the relationships. But then you notice some things. She starts getting curious as to your whereabouts at every moment in time. She constantly wants you to spend time with her, even if that meant she or you would need to cancel established plans to do so. On some occasions, she would try to cancel these plans for you, try to block out certain others out of your life, all so she could have your attention. She starts becoming jealous of who you spend your time with, and demands you talk to her instead. And if you fail to comply, she acts sad, depressed, and sometimes even angry. What happened? Was this really the same girl you met a month ago? Sure, she made it apparent she enjoyed your company, but you never realized things would spin this much out of control. Things become too much to bear, and eventually, you are forced to do the inevitable. You end the relationship, hurt and worried if you made a wrong decision or not. Something you thought would be so fruitful is now gone, leaving an empty hole in your heart. Those of you who have played DDLC know the comparisons I'm about to make. The deceptive idea you originally had of this girl and the scenario is a comparison to the deceptive expectations one is to have when buying this game. The game is portrayed as a casual, calming dating simulator with cute anime girls to sip a good cup of coffee to. The obsessive girlfriend in the story is an analogy for Monica, and the ones she cuts out of your life are the other girls in the game. The red flags you start to notice in your girlfriend is the same as the subtle transition to cryptic events in the game. In both scenarios, you had no idea what was to come, all because of a deceptive image. Throughout the game's story, you are introduced to 4 girls in a literature club at your high school: Monica, Sayuri, Natsuki, and Yuri. Each girl has their own personality, and are all quote-unquote potential dating options in the game. Little does one expect, as Monica continues to grow more and more obsessively over your attention, she eventually resorts to deleting the character files of the other girls in the game, in order to force this attention all onto her. This, in the analogy, is just as how your girlfriend attempted to cut out the other people from your life, all to gain your love and affection. Monica's behavior becomes unacceptable, some would say inhuman. Just as you had to cut off your relationship with your girlfriend in the scenario, you must do the same in the game by ultimately deleting Monica's character game file yourself. There's a similar scenario in an episode of Gravity Falls as a reference to the game DDLC, or maybe it was the other way around, I don't know when both were made, where Seuss is being obsessed by a dating simulator character named Giffany, and the events of this episode play out very similarly to DDLC, but it's just got sort of a FNAF twist on it or some shit. The events of the game are meant to portray this kind of toxic relationship, to act as a warning that appearances can be deceiving, and that clingy relationships built off fear will lead to destruction. It's impossible for love to thrive on fear. I'm not saying that we should antagonize those with controlling tendencies, but because they ultimately derive from a fear of loss, which leads them to become clingy and obsessive. What I am saying is we need to understand why this behavior develops in order to identify and fix it. Controlling behavior is not defendable. There is no excuse for its presence, but it's often not of evil intent. Many people are afraid of losing what they love, but some unfortunately act upon this fear and attempt to remedy it by eliminating any possibility of losing what they love to external factors. This played out in our hypothetical scenario is the girlfriend trying to eliminate any other people or things that could take away the precious time together she holds so dearly. And with Monica, it plays out by her straight out wiping any other romantic options from the game files. A certain desperateness is seen in these actions, and unfortunately, it could lead to only one thing: the destruction of the relationship. You are forced to cut ties with these people, you're out of cards to play, and its effect can be just as detrimental on oneself as it can on your partner. I'm just going to add an extra note, this part's unscripted, but the reason these types of controlling behaviors can be so dangerous is often it uses guilt in order to manipulate the other person in a relationship. And like I said, we can't just antagonize people with these tendencies because they are wrong and there is no excuse for them, but they ultimately don't derive from evil intent. And often most times they are seen because of past relationships they may have had in the past that sort of drive them to act in this way so those past failures don't happen again. I do believe this is what DDLC is trying to convey with its message. I do think it was sort of time to sort of figuratively display this scenario. And I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Tell me if you have any other interpretations of the moral message from DDLC. If you enjoy these type of analysis on video games, gamers, shows, characters, etc., let me know. But alas, I thank you all for watching till the end. Hydro,